Howdy everyone, Pocho here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're doing the hero spotlight for the final character of the Druid faction, the boss character, Rhiannon, a character that people have been waiting for a long time. Mind you, we had no idea what the last character was going to be. We thought it'd be some remake of the Guardian, but just like the bugs, we got a completely new character that came out of nowhere. I think she looks awesome. Half deer, half human, got the antlers. Sure, why not? Let's go with it. So as usual, we'll go over her stats, her animations, and her abilities in the arena, and we'll talk about where you can kind of use this hero. There is something about this hero that is unique to any other hero that has ever been released in the game. It's been something I've personally suggested for a long time. I'm glad they've incorporated it, so we'll definitely show that as well. But yeah, let's get into it. At completely max level, max gear, Arcane Stars, the whole schmozzle, we come in at 8.5 million HP, speed 208, armor 65k, magic damage resistance 118k, basic magic damage 874k, magic critical hit chance 41, so decent. And magic critical damage is 1.3 million. The in-depth stats are here for you to have a look at as you see fit. Feel free to pause, take any information you want, ask any questions. Do I have the answer? Who knows? I might not. That's the gamble you take. But there you go. There is the information. So now we will jump into the arena, look at her animations, look at her abilities, and yeah, go over where you're going to be able to use this hero. Jumping into the arena, we have Rhiannon's basic attack. Forest Spear triggers the boss class mark, deals magic damage to one target. If the target is slowed, Rhiannon will cast 4 stacks of a dot debuff on them, while under the debuff, the target takes damage equal to 65% of Rhiannon's basic damage at the start of their turn. 1 stack is spent at the start of each target's turn. So we'll go ahead and look at the animation on the enemy Arcane. It will not apply the dots because she is not slowed, but remember, Dreverard has the ability to slow, and he does go first in the typical Druid format. He is given that ability through Cathbad, able to perform first. You could get the slow, and then obviously not going to follow up with a basic at the start of a battle, but that's how it works. Now, this dot is unique to bleeding. Now, we know bleeding as a dot. It works similar. It does damage when the target takes their turn at the start. However, it's a more potent version of the bleed. For example, if Mirrodin uses his ability and applies 2 stacks of bleed for 1 turn to all enemies, when their turn comes around, they take damage and they lose both of those bleed stacks. This dot, however, the character does not lose all the stacks. The stacks remain on them. They only lose 1 stack though. So if they've got 4 stacks, their turn comes around, they take damage from the 4 stacks, the stack reduces to 3. So when the next turn comes around, they take damage from the 3 stacks, then it's reduced to 2. You're getting a lot more damage out of this. It's more potent. However, it is susceptible to cleansing. I've tested it on the Orcs. Dagan can come along and cleanse that. Sacrif will have no issue. Any faction Dragon can Beastman with the natural ability to remove debuffs. So there's a lot in the game that can counter it. So that's the issue. And she is a character that needs a little bit of a build-up, and the most comes out of her if the debuffs she applies goes uncontested. So you got to remember that when using that hero. And that's everything we've come up with so far from just her basic. We'll look at we saw the animation. We'll jump into her next ability now. Moving on to Rhiannon's first special, we have Whirlwind of Leaves. Reduces the duration of buffs on enemies and debuffs on allies by 3 turns. Only those effects that end after a specific number of turns can be reduced or removed. Completely hides all allied druids, except Dreverard for 3 turns. Casts vulnerability on all enemies for 3 turns. Increases allied Dreverard's armor and magic resistance by 50% for 3 turns. So it's a very unique cleanse and debuff buff remover in the sense that it only affects those that have a duration. So I've gone ahead and manipulated the battle. We've got the invulnerability, which is a buff that lasts a specific number of turns. I would like to, if Playcott watches this, I would like them to just confirm, because it's really weirdly worded. The immortality buff lasts for not a number of turns, but number of hits. So does that still class under Rhiannon's? It does. She removes that buff. But is she meant to is the question. Now, they have 2 stacks of a hot on them, which should be removed. Nothing else, in theory, should be removed. On us, we have Scorching Terror. Now, that is an ability that lasts indefinitely until an orc dies. So, in theory, she should not be able to cleanse that debuff. So, we'll go ahead and look at the animation and see if everything plays out. So we see a big whirlwind, and there we go. Okay, so the hot is removed. The immortality is removed. Scorching Terror is not removed because it is not a debuff that lasts X amount of turns. So very interesting, very interesting. Instead of just being able to clear everything, it's specific to buffs and debuffs that last X amount of turns. Cool animation. I think it only being able to cleanse something specific makes it feel more balanced to someone like Sakrif who can just go, you know what? See ya. Let's reset the board of all debuffs and debuffs. So I like it. I think that's really neat. It hides every druid, leaves Dreverard out to be taunted, or he can only be attacked. So it gives you more options with Dreverard at the start of the battle. You don't necessarily need to use taunt. You still can, if there's characters that move in between Dreverard and Rhiannon. But if there isn't, you can use Dreverard's slow or his other ability, but you never really use that first. Use his slow first. And then when Rhiannon comes around, you can hide everyone, forcing the enemy to only attack Dreverard as well. Obviously, counters to this are, what's it called? Where they can attack past taunt, which is almost every team these days. And the ability to, I guess, remove buffs from themselves. If you can remove buffs, you can remove the hide. Sure. So I like it. I think it's a balanced ability. It's forcing you to attack a tank, which I think is good. And that's not an overpowered ability. It's easy to bypass. And it gives Dreverard a little bit more survivability as well. Also being able to cleanse the field of specific debuffs. So yeah, I think it's balanced. I like it. I think they did a good job on this ability. Moving on to Rhiannon's second special, we have Nature's Wrath. At the start of battle, the ability's timer equals to 3. So the fight starts with this ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Cast 2 stacks of a dot debuff on all enemies, while under the debuff, the target takes damage equal to 65% of Rhiannon's basic damage at the start of their turn. 1 stack is spent at the start of each target's turn. Also has a 20% chance per druid in the squad to cast additional stacks of a dot debuff on targets equal to the current number of debuff stacks on target plus the number of turns left until they end. Stacks of this debuff are also counted. Has a 20% chance per druid in the squad to trigger any dot effect on the target, dealing damage per effect. So essentially, it's a bomb. It's a bomb, but unlike the flame squad, unlike the nuke squad, unlike the bomb squad, which is all designed to explode as soon as possible, this one's a ticking time bomb. You need to wait. You need to wait to trigger this. You need to wait the 3 turns. And then once the fuse runs out, the damage is done. So I have manipulated this battle to get the stacks up on the enemy so we can just have a glance at what it does. So obviously this is not going to happen in a real battle. Oh, it could. I don't know. But I've purposely cast 2 times Mirrodin's AoE to apply 2 rounds of dots and apply 6 or 8. As you can see, one of them has been fortified. So we'll go ahead and look at the damage and look at the animation. So it's waiting for servers because it's like even the game doesn't know what just happened. So yeah, as you can see, it's a bomb. It just rips through the enemy and yeah, whew. That is strong. But like I said, that was manipulated. Can you get those results in a real battle? We'll verse the orcs for real at the end. So what do we have to look out for here? Obviously, number 1, like I said before, cleansing. is going to be a counter to this. Just cleanse the dots. Yeah. Now, I was seeing people comment, do you want to run Mirrodin in this squad? The whole idea of Rhiannon was to give Mirrodin a bit more relevance. You've got to really consider the damage this ability does and Mirrodin's ability to apply a dot to everyone, which then triggers 4 dots on everyone from Rhiannon as well. Is that worth more than having an Irma or a Whirlwind on the team? Now, let's talk about that now. What are the benefits of having Irma, for example, over Mirrodin? Irma has the ability to lower the accuracy of the enemy. This is good because it forces the AI to use their basic attacks. It's essentially giving you a free round, which is going to give you a free round on your Rhiannon to get that ability off cooldown. The downfall is it's not really helping you with the dot stack, which you want to essentially get as high as possible. I think the Druid team becomes a situational team on who you're versing. If you're versing a team who can cleanse, I think Irma may be a better option. If you're versing a team who doesn't cleanse, I think Mirrodin might be a better option. Mirrodin, vastly overlooked though. His kit isn't horrible. He does have the potential to stun as well. And as you can see, his dots now add a decent amount of benefit to the Druid squad when led by Rhiannon. So it's going to be a lot of testing to see who is the better option. Obviously, you're running Cathbad. Obviously, you're running Dreverard. Obviously, you're running Rhiannon. Mabe, I think, is essential no matter what, simply because her kit is good. Full reset on initiative. Essentially full reset on initiative. Can lock down an opponent. And her speed is so good that she can almost perma-lock down someone. That ability is coming around far often than the lockdown is running out. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about when it comes to this team. But yeah, you get this off and they've got dots on them. GG, you've won. Good work. All right, we'll move on to her passive and her leadership now. I've talked a lot about this character. There's a lot to her. There's a lot to think about. So we'll move on to the next next ability, sorry. So we have Emerald Mistress, which is the passive. If Mirrodin is in the squad, then every time another ally casts dot debuffs, Rhiannon casts 4 stacks of a dot debuff on the same enemy, applied to each target in case of multiple target debuffs. Raid only. Now, this is what I said. There's something about her that is very specific to her, new to the game. So glad they've added this. Raids only. At the end of a round, reduces the timer of all allies' special skills by 3 turns. Raid only increases damage of all allies by 40%. Now, I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Why? Because it gives a hero more value outside of PvP. And I think that is such a healthy thing for a hero. Because, let's be honest, reviewing this hero, I guarantee you a large percentage of people watching are thinking, is this hero going to be good against Mordred? It's just natural to think it because this game is dominated by him at the moment. But now that this character has use outside of just PvP, sure, that's a great... Honestly, I wish it was changed from Raid, though, to Cradle of Chaos. I wish he was a bit more effective in Cradle of Chaos over Raids. But it depends on how we can obtain this hero. She may be a really good starting hero to go for, if possible, for new players. Because then this is just going to give those players a bit more oomph in Raid, get them progressing a little bit faster. So I just really like that she's a bit more usable somewhere else in the game that's not PvP. She's just not PvP. We don't have to compare it to the strongest squad every time. I love it. Now, one thing that I would like to know is at the end of every round, reduces the timer. I wonder if that applies to the big bomb ability. That's really strong if it does. This would be a really good... I'm not going to test it in this video, but this Druid team has the potential to be the best raid team in the game. Bar the last boss. I think you may struggle a little bit on the last boss still, but yeah, really good. So that's the passive. We'll move on to the leadership ability now. Moving into her leadership ability, we have Forest Queen. Whenever an ally's HP drops below 50%, Rhiannon casts 4 buff, reducing all damage taken by 50% on that ally. 1 stack is spent each time that ally receives damage. When an ally deals damage except with dot debuffs, Rhiannon and 1 other random ally gets a 50% chance per allied druid to perform a basic attack of opportunity on the same target. If the damage has been dealt to all enemies, a random target is selected for the attack. Now, this is a really nice sustain or utility leadership. That defense is decent. It's decent. 50% damage reduction below 50% HP. You get 4 rounds of it. Wonderful. Now, one way to bypass this is to drop the character's HP from 51% or above to 0. Not an easy task. There are some characters that could do it, not everyone. But for example, the Orcs Arcane, when an allied Orc's HP drops below 30%, they receive a huge amount of damage reduction. The way to override that is make sure you're able to kill the character before they drop below that threshold. So if you could, for example, a nuke squad could blow up these characters and bypass the damage reduction. It's once they drop below 50% and the game recognizes they still have HP, then the damage reduction kicks in. So if you're able to, that would be one way to get around it. But a 50% damage reduction at 50% HP, it's a decent amount of HP still. So yeah, just keep that in mind. The support attacks are nice. Honestly, I look at this leadership ability and I think to myself, this is a balanced ability. This is balanced. There's nothing in here that makes me scratch my head. There's nothing in here that makes me think, how are we going to counter this? What on earth do we have in our arsenal to combat this? This character, overall, I think is designed wonderfully. On paper, we haven't tested her properly. We will test against the Orcs after this. Not a proper battle report. I'm not going to go over the abilities. I'm just going to fight just to see. But going over this whole champion, I just feel like this is a decent hero. There's nothing in there that's ridiculous. It takes time to get the big damage out. Okay, it's not going to come out straight away. You're not going into the battle and instantly losing. I think they've done a really good job with her. I think they've done an amazing job. This should be the character that we all look to for, is a character overpowered or not? I just think they did a good job. I do. I don't care she's not stupidly overpowered. I love the raid thing. It gives her utility and use in other parts of the game. I think she supports the Druids wonderfully. And yeah, okay. So that is Rhiannon. Let's jump into an actual battle though. Play it out. Not going to run through everything that's happening. Probably not going to use all the abilities correctly, but just a bit of fun. Let's see how they hold up against the 4 Orcs. Okay, so we jump into battle. This is not a great team to verse because the Dagon can get rid of the dots, which is unfortunate. So what we want to do is, let's go ahead and slow the enemy. Beautiful, beautiful. That's a shame her basic doesn't apply dots to the slow when she support attacks. That would be cool. What we're going to do here is lock the Dagon because we do not want him to get rid of dots. So they're going to go ahead and attack Cathbat. Oh, that was not expected. I thought she'd be able to survive. Okay, apparently not. We're going to go ahead and hide the rest of our Druids. We're going to go ahead and hopefully get some stuns off here. Okay, we've got 2 stuns off. Beautiful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Maybe poisons them for 2 turns. Okay, that should count. Yeah, okay, so we got 4 dots from the Rhiannon. Okay, nice. And does the basic also has a chance? Okay. So can we get to 8 stacks? Nice. Nice. Okay, now this also puts dots. So can we get extra dots here? 12 dots on Arcane. So how much damage will she take naturally when her turn comes around? So we got one more turn. The Dagon is still locked down. No worries at all. I almost don't want to attack anyone and take them into critical because they will receive the damage reduction. So, okay, we can apply more dots here with Mirrodin. Nice. I think we just attack Lascari. At the very least, we can kill Chrome and Mordrake with the explosion. Okay. We are losing. Okay. Alright. Comes down to this. How much damage are we getting out of this? Oh, 2 of them survive still. But that wiped out. That was a lot. Okay. I guess we... I still don't think we win this. Let's just boost up to 4. No. I think we lose this. Yeah, missing. Just missing. Oh, it's a shame. That's a shame. That was a lot of damage, though. I think all I could have done really differently would have been taunting with Dreverard at the start so that my Cathbad survived. That would have given me a bit more oomph at the end of the battle there. I think that's the only mistake I made. Other than that, I think I played that pretty well. A bit of RNG, though, on the stun from Mirrodin. Obviously, you're not going to... It's a 30% chance. That's really low. You hope to get at least 1 stun, but it's still really low chance. Other than that, I really like her. I think that the team is great. There is just a lot of counters to her in the game. Like I said, I had to lock down Dagon there because he can obviously remove the dots. I would like to lock down Arcane, to be honest, so she doesn't get the Scorching Terror on me. I really wish her support attacks applied the dots as well. That would be neat. Maybe it's meant to. I don't know. The whole point of these spotlight videos as well is that Playclip can notice that if something's wrong or not. But yeah, there you go. There's Rhiannon. I like her. Tell me what your thoughts are. I would love to hear it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And we'll be around the world. Until next time, please take care of yourself.